Hello and welcome to another Final Fantasy XIV guide. Today we're looking at Nidhogg in the final steps of Faith Instance unlocked in the main storyline. This requires an average item level of 205 to enter. This is an intense battle testing the limits of the Warrior of Light and his 7 friends. Starting off, it's wise to note that the fight has 4 phases in total, and each one of these phases works on the abilities of your party as a whole, rather than other fights that may focus on DPS races, healer races, or whatever. AoE lines, cones, and circles, all of which have much faster explosion and trigger times than perhaps you might be used to in previous content. So it's a good idea to always think with your feet and plan where you can go next safely and swiftly. Phase 1 then is the easiest and has large AoEs of fire and room-wide AoEs with safe spots to stand in a line running across Nidhogg's centre. Deafening Bellow is an unavoidable AoE pulse attack that happens once or twice in succession throughout the fight. This will need to be AoE healed through, and it's a good idea in this phase for range to stand near melee to avoid most of the AoE mechanics anyway, but it also helps AoE healing without stressing your healers out too much with single target. If a hole spawns under you, you will need to run out of them immediately. Anyone caught in them will kill a non-full health player immediately. Not long after the hole spawn, Nidhogg will actually disappear and fly off. For this phase, it's best to stack in the centre of the room and then spread out to avoid AoEs that come from the next part of the fight. The reason for the middle stack is to give you enough time to spread efficiently, as the room is huge and it will take too long to move to certain sections of a room if you're not near the centre to avoid these AoEs. Phase 2 is a DPS check. Adds will spawn and they need to be killed fast. If they're not killed fast enough, Nidhogg will cast a knockback that will insta-kill everyone. For this reason, Phase 2 could be make or break for your party. As for the adds themselves, they vary. One add in the centre cannot be tanked and goes around casting unmarked AoEs on people. There is a tell in that the ad brings back his arm to swipe, giving you enough time to move from it to avoid the damage. Then there should be 2 others remaining. These can be tanked and should be tanked at the sides of a room. That way you can position their frontal AoEs, cones, outside the arena, endangering nobody. Phase 3 begins after Nidhogg's pushback that you should have survived if you killed the ads fast enough in P2. Nidhogg takes a humanoid form and casts an ability called Alamorn on your main tank. This is a tank killer and should be single target healed through and also shielded through. You need to reserve all defensive CDs for this ability to survive it. Gaia Skogul is a line ability that Nidhogg projects from the boss to a random player. Make this player stand still and everyone else move, or the player to move away from others. Either way, you need to minimize who gets hit by this. Meteor circles will spawn above players. You want to spread these out to the sides of a room, spreading them all over the edges. Once these meteor AoEs fade, an area target room wide AoE will spawn, sometimes on a healer. Most of the time on a healer. You need to run as far away from this as possible, avoiding as many of the AoEs that spawn to reduce further damage. You should focus on being close to others here, as healers will need to use AoE heals to keep people alive through this damage. Phase 4 then, and this is the last stage of the fight. Nidhogg gets really pissed and glows fire red. This mirrors a lot of Phase 1's abilities, only many of them are now red coloured and angry, and there are a few mechanics to watch out additionally to the ones from P1. When Akmorn is cast, this is shown by a yellow massive arrow on a single player. You need to stay stacked on this person. Stay on them even when this arrow fades until all the lightning bolts have erupted from that location. These lightning bolts spread the damage instead of killing the actual player targeted, so heal with light AoEs to keep people up and stay stacked. This mechanic gets longer as the fight stretches on when it comes up with more lightning bolts, so it's a race against time. Next up is an ability that spawns 3 fireballs in a room. They randomly spawn around the entire fight area. These are bombs that will explode in a plus shape. This reminds me of Bomberman if you've ever played that. Simply stand in a row where these bombs are not and you will completely avoid the damage. Once this plus attack is over, you will need to stack up in the centre of the room as fast as possible, as the AoE with the safe zone in the line down Nidhogg's body will be back. Immediately after this, however, Nidhogg will spawn another AoE where you were just standing in that line safe zone, so you'll need to move out to the sides of the room as fast as you possibly can. These mechanics will continue, rinse and repeat until the boss dies, or you wipe. Nidhogg is a very fun fight, but one that you can take a couple of runs to clear with inexperienced players. Take it slow, do the mechanics, don't get too ragey, and you'll have unlocked the next part of your story to enjoy. Thank you very much for watching this. If you've enjoyed it, leave a like below, and I'll see you next time.